have some great things to show you today. Come on over.
I have romances, as I usually pick.
Oh.
I love romance.
Surprise.
This is titled 27 Dresses, and she's the perpetual bridesmaid. Never a bride, always a bridesmaid. She hops from wedding to wedding. She not only is in the weddings, but she helps plan them. She does the baby showers. She goes to the shops to think what the bride may need, and she registers her. Well, anyway, she's hopping from wedding to wedding. She had 3 weddings in one day. And in the cab, she says to the cab driver, "I'll give you $200 if you just face forward," because now she's changing dresses to make it to the other wedding. At one of these weddings, she meets this fella. A lot of stuff happens in between. The sister's like a fake, and Katherine Heigl loves her boss, Ed Burns. She really does. She doesn't
Ed
have...
Cookie Burns?
Yeah. No, not that Cookie Burns. No, I liked him also. She doesn't want the boss to marry the sister under such false pretenses because she's making believe she's a vegetarian because he is. She's not. She
okay.
eats burgers, they drip down spare ribs, you name it. She's pretending to love animals, she doesn't. She's pretending to climb mountains because he does, the Himalayas and all that, and Everest. She doesn't do any of that. So when they give her, she's given an engagement party because she does everything for every bride that she's ever in their wedding. She decides to do a sideshow, and in a slideshow, and in this slideshow,
We're human, folks.
up comes pictures of her eating spare ribs,
Oh.
of her kicking a dog, of her
course.
nowhere cheerleading. She's like a cheerleader, and she's with all these guys, and they said that's the extent of her climbing mountains and all this other good stuff. Tune in and see. Come in to the library. You'll have to come in and see this.
Okay. My next is on American television, Damages with Glenn Close. She's an excellent actress.
Oh, yes.
Yes, she's done a
Yeah.
lot of things. She was in The Shield one season. And this is one of those TV shows where there's one story, and that story develops over the whole season. And this is one heck of a story. There are so many twists and turns and breathtaking things. They're after this man named Ted Frobisher, who's played by Ted Danson. I think he was in Cheers long ago.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, he's like a billionaire who owned this huge company, but when the company fails through nefarious ways, he robs all of the people in his company of their pension.
Like
Of course, you
Madoff.
have to find that out, right? You have to find, and they're trying to, and it's all the ins and outs and who did what, who saw what. But it's very complicated, and don't forget, it takes place over a season, and even then, it's not over. Season 2 is actually a continuation of the story. The Ted Frobisher part gets resolved to a degree, but the Glenn Close, she is a lawyer who is ruthless.
Is this the second
Patty
season or the
Hughes.
first?
This is the first season I have in my hand, but we also have the second season.
Oh, okay.
Or if we don't, we're getting it soon. And Patty Hughes, she has her own law firm, and she's ruthless. She has a young woman lawyer that she's hired to come in and work for her, and that relationship is so up and down, I can't tell you. And it's very intriguing and exciting. So come in and check out Damages, because just about everybody gets damaged in this thing.
Okay. My next movie is Accidental Husband. This takes place in New York City. Uma Thurman is in it, Colin Firth,
Oh,
who was in Bridget Jones, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
he's in
He used to
everything.
be in Grey's Anatomy, and everybody knows him from Grey's Anatomy. Starts out, she's a radio psychologist, okay? And everybody loves her, but she thinks that she knows everything that should be known about men and women and relationships and what have you. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is a fireman, and he's already engaged. He's going to be getting married. But you see his wife, he's on a fire truck, going to a fire, racing to a fire, and you see the girl he's going to marry listening on her iPod to her show. And she's saying, unless you're 100% sure, you shouldn't be getting married, and he has to have this qualification and that qualification and all this other good stuff. And she's thinking, ooh, I don't think he has that. Lo and behold, she breaks the engagement. He's all upset, so he decides he's going to get even with Uma Thurman, the psychologist. And so he calls into her show and says, do you know you're ruining people's relationship and blah, 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 and all this other good stuff. Oh, chaos breaks out.
Complications.
Chaos. She decides she's going to find out all about this. She gets his name. She goes and she visits him in this bar. She finds out he's in the bar, and they're all drinking with the firemen. And doesn't she get drunk and winds up sleeping overnight in his place? I'm not saying whether anything took place or not, but
course
things roll from there.
Have to
It's
see it
a
for yourself.
funny story. Does she stay engaged to Colin Firth? I'm not so sure. Does she get engaged to the fireman and live happily ever after? I'm not too sure of this. But come in and take it out. It's The Accidental Husband. It's new. It's relatively new. And one of our patrons, when we were on the bus ride going to the Huntington Christmas show,
Yes.
she said she loves watching Real Talk because I talk about romance. So, Peg, this one's for you. You have to come in and take this out.
This one is not romance. It's another American TV, Mad Men. It's very acclaimed. It is excellent. It takes place in the 50s, and it's amazing. I grew up in the 50s, so I remember there's a lot of little touches. But for one thing, and we don't see this anymore, it's an ad agency. And Don Draper is the main guy in this ad agency. He's not the owner, but he's like a very well-respected employee of the ad agency. And they're drinking during the day, and they're smoking during the day, and they're having affairs. And there's little touches like the types of ashtray that might be on the table, the TV show they
Oh, to
might
remind
watch,
you of the
definitely
time,
their
yeah.
clothes. There's one, I laughed so hard and so long. He's on a picnic with his wife and their kids, and they're ready to go, and he had been drinking a can of soda, and he takes that can of soda and he lobs it out there, like to glitter,
Right.
and she takes the little picnic thing and she shakes it in the air, and all the junk that they have
out
goes.
of it, yeah.
I mean, it was so outrageous, yet when we were kids, we just dropped our, bubblegum wrapper.
Right.
So it's the ins and outs of this ad agency. There's a young woman, and I forget her, Peggy Olson her name is, and she thinks at first that she's going to sleep her way to the top, and so initially she does. But she's very talented, and she's got to knock on that glass ceiling at a time when the word glass ceiling didn't even exist. So it's very interesting politically. It is a great timepiece at a time when you don't see many shows, the 50s. When you
Oh,
think
right.
about it, either it really was filmed in the 50s, or it's not. So it's a retrospective that way. It holds your attention, something incredible. So I recommend that you see Mad Men if you missed it on TV, or even if you saw it on TV and want to see it again. Well,
So-
Carol, where can they see this? At the Monroe Free Library, right? And they should come in and
Check us out.